Hello, Peaceful Profits Nation. Chanel here with an exciting client spotlight episode for you today. Today, we're talking to our client, Roz Place. Roz Place was born channeling angels, and her earliest memory is of watching angels around her in her crib. Roz grew up in Kent, South England, in a family of muggles and had to navigate life with the angels without guidance or support from the people in her life. Thanks to Tressarn's constant guidance and infinite love, Roz was able to channel her way out of homelessness and into her true life purpose and a life of impact helping others. When she's not channeling guardian angels, Roz enjoys long walks in the woods, spending time with her husband Eddie and their sons, preparing and eating good food, and testing out new coffee shops. Roz, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so glad that you're here. As I read your bio, it is quite intriguing. I was so curious about a lot of things, but I wanted to start in with this first part of what does it mean to channel angels, and talk to us a little about what that experience has been for you.
Yeah, so it was what I was born doing. As you read out, I was born into a family of muggles. So I don't know whether you know about Harry Potter, but
Of course.
yeah, so that's really what it was like. I was born being able to do something that nobody else in my family could do, and nobody else that I knew could do. And all channeling is communicating. It's connecting and communicating. And you create, when you channel, you have a channel, which is something that you could imagine as like a channel, like a funnel, if you like, of communication between you and, in this case, guardian angels. People often channel guides and archangels and other energies. But it was something that I was born doing. And because I didn't learn how to do it, it was something that it was difficult to explain to other people or to be able to help other people to do, which has really been the journey of my life in terms of being able to do it for them and always wanting to be able to show them how to do it for themselves. So that's what channeling is. It's talking, communicating, in this case with guardian angels.
Wonderful. Okay. I love that tie-in that you just said, because so many people, even if this is not their thing, right? They don't understand this and this isn't their business. That what I just heard is something that's so common to business owners, which is something comes very naturally to someone, and they're like, I know how to do this thing, but I'm not quite sure how to teach it. And so that's exactly what you just said. I know how to do this, but then the journey and the learning is, how do I help others be able to do this? So I love that tie-in, because it's something that we can all relate to and all often need help with. So I'd love to hear more about your story. You mentioned being homeless for a time. I can you tell us a little bit more about kind of your background and what happened in your life and the trajectory of how that changed?
Yeah, so homelessness happened just 3 years ago. Um, we lost everything. We lost our home. We lost our lovely car. We lost the life that we'd built, spent years building and creating. For a long time, I'd worked professionally as a guardian angel communicator, and I had constantly been wanting to share my work and developed lots of different ways of sharing my work. And for many years, I had lots of different, like really weird chance kind of meetings with people and situations that used to appear for me. And I think I spent a lot of my life, because I grew up in a working class home, because I grew up like really struggling with, because I could channel guardian angels and other people couldn't channel them, I felt really different. And it was hard for me to, I found it really difficult to be able to be myself, to just be Roz, and to feel that I could be accepted just for being who I was, for all the different things that I did and all the different ways that I was. And on one hand, I was so independent. I grew up and I owned my first house when I was 17, bought my own flat when I was 17. I always worked really, really hard. And that was part of my kind of wanting to elevate myself out of where I'd come from. I worked really, really hard, but I always had this feeling inside of me that something was just going to happen, that someone was going to come and save me. And over the course of quite a few years, I had lots of different chance situations and meetings, traveled a lot to the States, and I had a career that was really building. And in 2019, end of 2019, just as all of the COVID stuff began, and I remember being at LAX airport, and it was just, everybody was just in a panic, complete panic. I think I must have been on one of like the last flights back. It was really a really hairy time. And I was just on the verge of signing with a manager and an agent. I'd had 3 years of coming out to the States and meeting some amazing people, and really thinking that someone was going to come along and save me. Someone was going to come along and make everything right for me. And I was somehow going to avoid doing the thing that I knew I needed to do. And in 2020, my husband worked in events. There were no events. So his business crashed. My business crashed because I couldn't go to America. I couldn't continue to develop my career, and everything kind of just shut down. And we found ourselves in this huge house with this wonderful lifestyle, and our income just evaporated because it was completely unsustainable. We hadn't built anything with a foundation. It was all, let's do this next, let's do that next, let's try this. And we got to a point where we couldn't do that anymore. And I had to do the thing which I'd been reluctant to do for a really long time, which was to actually build a proper business. And I bought Mike's book, and I read it, and I just couldn't stop. I couldn't stop reading it, and I couldn't stop listening to the audio. I used to listen to the audio book like all the time. I don't know how many times I cleaned my bathroom listening to the audio book, and did all these other chores listening to my audio book. And I gave it a go. I thought, I can write a book. You know, I can write a book. It's not that difficult to write a book. And I gave it a go, and it didn't do well because, well, for many reasons it didn't do well, because it wasn't the right book. I didn't understand the whole process behind it. And then in 2021, that's when I joined Peaceful Profits. And that's when I built a proper business. And that's what I've got now. So homelessness came when we got to the end of being able to kind of like cling on to just constantly trying to recreate new things, build new things, create new things, sell things to people that already knew me, and constantly expecting that something miraculous was going to happen that was suddenly going to transform everything forever. And although I would never have like invited that, I would certainly not have welcomed. I didn't welcome that at the time. It was catastrophic. I had to tell my 2 kids, this lovely house, well, sorry, but we've got to move. And at the time I thought, well, we're losing our house, but we'll just be able to find something smaller where we are. And we didn't. So we had to completely move out of the area. And we're very happy where we are now, and we've built something wonderful in terms of our lives, our relationships, in terms of how we've built our life and how our life runs for us all. And I don't think I would have done that unless I'd have lost everything. I still would have been on that wheel of, let's just do another thing. I know we can sell this. This is a great idea. Let's share this with the world. Maybe this will be the thing that sticks. And yeah, that everything changed when we lost everything, and it was like, right, okay, so I've got nothing to lose now. The thing that I've been avoiding doing all this time, I'm actually going to sit down and do. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to do me. I'm going to share my work, and that's how that's how I got to where I am now, which is a very happy place.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I think that there's so many interesting things in there of the learning process that you went through and how it brought you to a place. You mentioned really having to create a solid foundation. And it's really interesting, what it took to be able to get to that. Now, you did something that I think a lot of people do with Peaceful Profits, which is listen to the book, figure I can do this on my own, and then get started writing a book. I'd love to hear to those people, because I think a lot of people who listen to the podcast are probably not yet clients. And I think they do that. They go in and they write a book thinking it's the right book. And then it's not. So, can you talk a little bit about just kind of what changed as you became a client and as you worked with the Peaceful Profits team? How did things kind of shift in your awareness and what did you do differently?
Well, the biggest thing which I gained is that I've written the book. I've written the book, a proper
Yeah.
book, and I've launched the book, and that is life changing, because it's that in so many ways. Conversations that you have with clients are completely different now because people have read the book and they understand what you do, and the whole funnel that I've created around the book is something that I've really enjoyed, and I never thought that I would. I didn't think I was capable of doing something like that. So all of that's inside of, that all of those benefits have been through being in the program. I think that what I learned was a process that I could follow that wasn't just bits of this and bits of something else. I think something that a lot of people have spoken to me about is that they feel like they've been to one place for a bit of business advice about this. They've been to another place for a bit of business advice about that. And they've got all of these different component pieces that they're trying to bring together. But the thing about Mike's is he just takes you right from the very beginning. He helps you to work out what your offer is. The way that I worked my offer out within the program, it's talked about in lots of different ways. I always felt like when you can identify what your client's absolute heart's desire is, what they want more than anything in the world, and you can deliver that, then that's what you should be focusing on. And that's what I did. And I knew, going back to the beginning, that I could channel guardian angels for people. I could provide them with all the information that they wanted and needed, all the validation, all the proof. But what I wanted to do was to be able to teach them to do it for themselves. And that's where my guardian angel, Tristan, showed me to do that. And that's what happened. So I think that learning what your offer is, knowing what you want to share with the world, being passionate about that, understanding what your client's real, true heart's desire is. In other words, what they really want, which is different to you trying to give them something that you think they need.
Yeah.
That was a big mistake that I made for many years. I would work away on these things which I was really excited about, things which I thought would really help. And they were successful to a point, but they weren't successful in the way that going through this program has enabled me to be, because you work out what your client really wants, what their absolute heart's desire is. I always think if you open up an Aladdin's cave, if you take your ideal client to an Aladdin's cave and you open the doors, what would they find in there? What would be in there? And if you can identify that for your clients, then not only can you really give them what they want, you can help them in the ways that you've always wanted to, but you've identified something which brings you the two worlds together, brings you as the person who wants to help and brings the people who are wanting the help together in the same place. And it's a very natural connection that you create through that relationship. So I think it was, rather than just thinking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, the simplification of, this is the thing that I'm doing. This is what I know you truly desire, and I can deliver that. That was what changed. That was the starting point. And from that, writing the book, which describes that, and sharing that book, and for people to understand that, so that when they come to you, they're in a state of readiness and understanding and awareness that they would never have been had you not have taken the time to write that book.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. That's beautiful, the way that you have described, people's heart's desire, and that is what you're speaking to. You have it spelled out as, you help women from the first ripples of spiritual awareness to channel their guardian angels so they can live in their true life purpose. And I'm very curious, because it is so specialized. How did you hone in on the fact that is these people's heart's desire?
Yeah, such a great question. So first of all, women from the first ripples of spiritual awareness. I work with predominantly women. And when I was looking for my niche, I was looking at, I took so much time to try to understand the different types of niche, the different sets within women. What groups of women was it that I was speaking to? But when I looked at their lifestyle, when I looked at their, careers, when I looked at their roles in life, they were all so different ages, different backgrounds, very academic backgrounds, very home-loving backgrounds, very career-orientated, women who are at the end of their careers and wanting to spend time to develop themselves in other ways. And I just couldn't find anything that brought them together, apart from the fact that they were at the very beginning. There was a ripple of spiritual awareness. There was an opening up. There was a curiosity. There was a wanting to know more, and knowing that there was more to know, and a wanting to discover that, a wanting to discover and understand what that was. So that's how I really focused on from the first ripples of spiritual awareness. And in terms of, what was your other question? It was
that answers part of it. And then just how were you able to hone in on that niche? So that's kind of where you meet them, is the first ripple of spiritual awareness. And then do they know that this is what they're looking for, that they are looking to channel guardian angels? Or how do you bring them to that? I'm very curious about the process here.
Yeah, sure. So I've worked with people for many years. So a lot of my research was talking to my clients and knowing that we've had conversations about it before, and having been asked, can you show me how to do this? And my answer had always been, no, I can't, because I didn't learn it. It was something that I was born doing, and I found it really frustrating that I couldn't teach it in the way that I wanted to. So I had to work with my guardian angel, Trasan, and he showed me the channel of clarity method, so that it builds. It's something that they can build and create. It's a technique. So that enabled me to share that with them. But in terms of how I knew that that was what they wanted to do, channeling is something which sounds very niche, but within that niche, or within the spiritual dimension, the spiritual realm, the spiritual world, the ability to have a direct line of communication between you and your guardian angel, or you and a guide, is the true epitome of, in my opinion, of spiritual growth, because the empowerment that comes through that connection, the validation, the personal growth, the spiritual growth that can occur through creating that trust, that bond, that connection, is something which everyone who I have spoken with and worked with professionally is looking for. They might not call it channeling. Within that world, it's known, it's a word. It's definitely a word that people would know. But when you think about the biggest question of, why am I here? What's my purpose? That eternal question. Channeling is the way that you find out. Channeling is the communication, the connection, the way in which you can communicate, you can ask questions, and you can receive answers. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. And such a detailed and exciting way. I think as you've kind of explained it, I can see how people will, first of all, how they immediately know that you're their person. But also it's so fun to hear just the passion for what you do, and to hear what it is on, this level of how it's going to help people. So thank you for that. So I know you have mentioned a couple of times that the book has really been beneficial and one of your successes. I would love to hear about your greatest recent business success.
Yeah, so the book is a huge success. We've launched it organically, and the way in which I'm getting my book out into the world is by being very fortunate to be invited on to speak onto people's podcasts, which is absolutely fantastic, and through my YouTube channel. So I'm really excited about the book as an asset. It's just been transformational. And from my book, the wonderful programs which people come into and I welcome them into, a great success is that people come from the book and they enroll into my personal program or my mentored program, and everything is automated and set up. It's all been built. So people come in, they sign up, and it's just a wonderful, smooth process for them. I think another big success in terms of a business success is that I've been able to create the programs in such a way as people start them and they finish them. There's a real great gentle accountability through the programs, which means that there's great interaction. And I have ways to keep people moving through the program, whether they do it one-to-one with me or whether they do it as a personal program, because some people do want to do it personally in the comfort of their own home. So business success wise, yeah, revenue directly from my book, which is something which, it's what all I ever wanted. All the time your book is out there working for you. All the time you get up or throughout the day, you see your little Stripe payments come in. And it's just such a wonderful feeling. And to have built my bumps and now to be introducing my upsell, to be able to know that I've built a funnel that I'm really enjoying with my content pillars and getting great interaction back from the business success is the fact that I've quite frankly built a business.
Yeah. Yes. Well, congratulations. That is huge. A huge, every piece of that success is well earned and well deserved. And I love that you kind of walked us through. Yes, there's success with selling the book and getting it out there. And there's also success on the back end, and there's success with the funnel. And there's so many different pieces that are all working together in this way that it's a successful business. So congratulations with that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So we're going to move into my favorite part of these episodes, which is this final question. Can you tell our audience the number one piece of advice you'd like to share with others who are working through this process too?
Yeah, I really believe that it's the number one piece of advice that I would give is if you want to create a wonderful business, is that you need to think in terms of creating an actual business, and that it is not only possible, but it is, I can't even find the words to describe how incredible it is when you have a focus, where you have the one thing that you do, that you share with others, that is your client's heart desire, that is the thing that they want more than anything in the world, and that you deliver that. And you deliver that day after day after day. And it's just this wonderful, I love to do this. They love to do this. We love to do this. It's just this really wonderful, how much fun is this? I would say that was the one piece of advice that I would give. Build a business and focus on your client's heart desire. What is their heart's desire? And deliver that with all of your being.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic advice. And, I love it because it's very simple on the one hand, and yet how many people are missing that piece. It's one of those simple things that you might skip over or think doesn't matter that much. And it is foundational, like you've brought out today. So thank you for that. So to wrap up this episode, how can our listeners find out more about you, and how can they find and follow you?
Yeah, thank you. So channelofclarity.com is where you'll be able to see the book and all the information about the book. And I think it was funny, actually, because my husband found a picture of, well, I don't know if funny is quite the right word. When we were homeless, we had everything that we owned, a very pared down version of everything that we owned. We had to pack it all into a shipping container. And he took a photograph of it, and he only told me about this about 3 weeks ago, and he's put it up on the page. Yeah, it's really sad. So channelofclarity.com, and also my YouTube. I've started to upload again on there. So Ros Place, Angels and Oracle cards is another place to go if you enjoy meditations and things of that kind.
Wonderful. All right, everyone, definitely go and check that out. As you can see, Roz has so many good things to teach, both about business and about guardian angels and her work. Roz, thank you so much for being here.
I really appreciate you having me. Thank you, Chanel.
Yes, and thank you, everyone here at Peaceful Profits. We will see you next time. Bye.